Hello and welcome back. I wanted to share the understanding that I had. I will do my very best to take it from my mind and put it into yours. I was having a conversation and the question came up, well, how do you gain your patience with 3D? How do you wait? And that's when I heard as clear as day. Do not fragment yourself. Don't split yourself. Keep yourself together. Because what you want to happen in your world must be lived in the imagination. Because you are only imagination. When I heard that, I understood clear as day. It made perfect sense to me. And so now I'll tell you, I'll do my best to get it from me to you. We think that the imagination is somehow this flight of fancy. This, pixies and fairy dust. We think it's a flight of fancy. We don't take it seriously. We don't believe that imagination creates reality. But you know what I discovered when I was at the 7-Eleven? They were talking about the lottery. It was scrolling across the thing. And you know what the first word was? Imagine what it would be like to win $50 million. And that struck me and I thought, what do you mean imagine? But if I sit here and I tell you my imagination is to win the $50 million and I feel it and I live it and I breathe it, you're going to tell me, do you know how hard it is to win the lottery? The lottery is rigged. But look at what they're telling you. That's what I mean, that we think imagination is a flight of fancy. It is not. The imagination creates reality. So what we've done, we've split ourselves. We've separated ourselves from the 3D because we think the 3D is where we live because our senses are so beautiful, aren't they? They make you aware of hot, cold, wet, dry, smooth, rough. Your surroundings. And we've separated ourselves from the 3D without understanding 3D is like Lego. You are building that Lego. But where are you building it? You're building it into 3D. But what's causing you to build it? Your imagination. What is it that you want? Your desire is in pieces right now, and you're building it in the 3D. So when Neville says to give it the tones of reality, what does that mean? It means if you want a job, if that's your desire, when you close your eyes and you imagine that scene, Neville is saying to you, live it there because that's where it is real. It's real in your imagination. That's the only place it is real. So all of your senses, you engage them. The sense of touch, are you shaking your boss's hand? Your sense of smell, ooh, those congratulatory flowers are delicious. What are you seeing? People are looking at you with absolute awe because they're just so enamored with the fact that you got this job, right? So that's how you engage your senses inside your imagination. We think it is this thing that we have to pretend. There is no pretend. Because the only place that relationship happens is in your imagination. Like you're looking for your specific person. What do you want from that specific person? What do you want them to be? Build it inside your imagination and use your senses to interact with it. That's how you get the tones of reality, as opposed to, well, I'm just going to sit here and wish, and I'm this scene, but you're not really feeling the scene because you have separated yourself from your imagination. You are only imagination, nothing else. 3D happens because of your imagination and the fact that you persist in building this thing. This is why Neville says revision is important. If you've done something that you didn't want, so dig up that seed right away by revising it and putting it the way you want it to be. And we do this every day. And Neville's given plenty of examples about it, where we have this conversation in our minds, our imagination about our boss and how much, oh, you piss me off. If I see you, I'm going to tell you what I think. And then you come across your boss and y'all butt heads. You have an argument because you have already lived it inside your imagination. Let us sink in for a minute. The 3D is stimulated by your imagination. When Neville says, live in the end, your desire has already been fulfilled. That simply means the only place that is real, the only place that is real is in your imagination. But we get caught up. Yeah, Angela, but if I put my hand on that burner, it's going to get burnt. Well, yes, it sure will. But then how do you explain the monks, A, who can start fire with their hands and who can walk across hot coals and not be burnt? How do you do that? Is it not real? What is it that they're doing that we aren't doing? They are somewhere else. They have practiced living in that imagination because that is the only real place. I don't know how else to say this because it made such perfect sense to me because I struggled with this. Just, how come it's not here yet? It exists, and it only exists in your imagination. But your imagination is not this thing that is woo-woo or far-fetched. And you see, I don't know if I said this before, I'm going to say it again if I did, but that's what they call delusions of grandeur. You see, and I don't like that term because if you're doing something in your imagination and you've convinced yourself of it, somebody's going to come along and say, well, that's not real. That's delusional. And that is why we have a hard time understanding that the imagination is all there is. You cannot build 3D without first imagining. An architect, when he looks at a spot of land, does not see an empty spot. He sees a building and people living in it. He feels that, and he knows when he takes out his ruler, his pencil, his eraser, and he draws his sketches and he drafts. What is he drafting from? His real imagination. That's what he's doing. It's not my imagination and I've got to draw this. No. He can only draw because he has seen it in his imagination. I can't say that enough. But that's what I understood today. Do not fragment ourselves. Do not think, I'm waiting so long. My special person is taking too long. My house is taking too long. My car is taking too long. My dog is taking too long. Live in your imagination because it is the only thing that is real. So when you put your head down and you close your eyes and sleep starts to take you and you know your desire, when Neville says build that scene, that's what he means. He means live it. Every facet of it. Live it in your imagination because once you live it there and it takes on the tones of reality where you have convinced yourself that it is real, he says, to the degree that you are self-persuaded. This is why he also says, don't tell anybody. Because the first thing people say is, you know you're crazy. That's delusional. Imagination is for children. But imagination is the only reality. So keep yourself together. Keep yourself together. If you want to have a good day, live a good day in your imagination, which means you have beautiful conversations. You meet great people. You expand your consciousness. That's the kind of day you want. Here's something. I was out at the grocery store. Normally, nothing ever happens because we're mask exempt. We have those here. And before I left the house, I said, oh man, I just want to get to the store and get back because I just don't want to meet no fools today. I'm in the store. I'm almost done shopping. This man and his wife, where's your mask? Who do you think you are? And of course, I was taken aback. But the first thing I said was, how'd I bring you two fools to me? Because that's what I did. I brought them to me. Neville says, you can't come unless I call you. And so I politely said, I didn't lose my cool. I just said, there are exemptions. And he was like, no, they're not. And I was like, I just walked away. And I got in my car, but let me tell you, that razzled me for the rest of my trip. It really upset me. But when I got in the car, I said, okay, let's revise. What did I want to happen? And in my mind, I just ignored him. I didn't even respond. I didn't hear him. It was like he wasn't even there. And let me tell you something, that angst and that anger and my heartbeat slowed right back to normal because that's what I wanted. So because we are so permeated with wear your mask and we are virtue signaling. Well, if you're not wearing your mask, you're harming me. We hear that so much. Those seeds were planted. And because I wasn't diligent to uproot those seeds in the beginning, I had to reap it. So do you, and you know how I know that I did this? Because I have that conversation in my head all the time. I say, if I ever come across somebody who tells me about a mask, I'm going to tell you about your mama. And so I go into that whole rant. But after realizing that imagination is the only reality, whatever experience I want to have, I create it in my mind and I live it there and I act it out. Day after day after, I act it out because that's what I want. And I will leave you with that because I feel like I hollered at you for a lot. So I will let you be now. But that's how I understood it. Keep yourself together. You're not separate. You are building the 3D with your imagination. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We're all on this journey together, so we may as well get to know each other better. Much love.